in engineering education. Professor Yaduvanshi, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Yaduvanshi, sir?
Yes, yes, good morning.
I'm not able to hear you actually, sir.
Hello, Meena. Uh,
Hello.
Meena, hello.
Are you able to hear me now?
So I am able to hear you. I think Meena, I think is not able to hear. So
Oh,
Yes, ma'am, for
I,
the update. Now I'm able to hear, sir.
I think she has to allow me.
No, sir,
The
I'm
organizer,
able to hear you now. I'm able to hear
no,
you.
but
okay.
I'm not able to share my video. Okay, I have to stop
Sir,
presenting then.
is
Just a
it not
minute, just
that
a minute.
just you do that, sir? I was able to see your screen that day, that time, 5 minutes back. I'll just give a brief introduction about you.
Okay,
In
now
that
it
you
is.
can
I think it is.
I'll
Now you
just
are able to see me.
so just a second, please. I'm not able to see the screen. Yeah, yes, sir. I'm able to see you now. Very good morning, sir.
Good
So
morning.
Professor Rajveer Yaduvanshi is amongst us. It's my privilege to welcome him today. Sir will be taking the session 1 today. Professor Rajveer Yaduvanshi is working as a professor in EC Department of Netaji Subhash University of Technology, East Campus. Professor Yaduvanshi has obtained his MTech degree from MNIT Allahabad and PhD in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Delhi University. Sir has a rich experience of 36 years in government service. He possesses academic prowess and has done cutting edge research in optics and microwave sensors, IoT, antennas designs, and implementations. Moreover, Professor Yudavanshi has won excellence awards in management and academics in 2017. He has also been a founding member of AIACTR Government Engineering College. 5 students have been awarded PhD under him, and 7 candidates are pursuing PhD under him as of now. Sir has also been a part of an international collaboration project completed in France in 2015, and he has been a chairman recruitment committee at NILET, Government of India. To his credit, Professor Yaduvanshi has 101 research papers published in highly acclaimed journals and has also published 4 reputed books. These are just some of the achievements of Professor Yaduvanshi. It's my proud privilege today that you took time out from your busy schedule and gave the consent to present and take one of the session. Sir, very warm welcome to you. You may
Thank you,
kindly
Mina.
go ahead, sir. Thank you, sir.
Uh, on this occasion, and thank you to all the organizers and in specific to Dr. Meena Rao, who invited me to have a talk on the education and technology era. For this, how much time I have, Dr. Meena Rao?
Sir, you have 1.5 hours. You have
Oh,
till 11, sir.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I can start now.
Yeah, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
See, basically, I'll be talking about the education and technology. These are merged areas. Neither technology can survive without education, nor education have the quality orientation without technology. I recall the narration given by Lord Krishna in Gita to Arjuna, and it was a motivational speech given by Lord Krishna during Mahabharata, and you can see the result of that. So, teachers should be such like Lord Krishna. At the same time, the students should be like Arjuna. And the technology, when I say technology, you see the complete Gita, which is a auspicious script written by Ved Vyasji, and it was done because the Mahabharata was taking place at Kurukshetra, and the narration was received by that technology by Sanjay, and then the script was developed by Ved Vyasji. So here, when I say this word, the Lord Krishna, the Arjuna, Sanjay, and the technology which has developed by Ved Vyasji in sort of scripts. tells us the pedagogy and the content. So basically, in today's era, the teacher is supposed to have basic instrumentations, and these instrumentations are the pedagogy, the content. These are not sufficient if you are having right type of pedagogy, right type of content. But if your delivery is not of that sort, you should have excellent delivery. So each component in this has equal role to play. Content has its own role, delivery has its own role, and then the pedagogy play important role. That's why you feel that there are few teachers, they are classified as best teachers. There are few contents you classify the content is excellent, and then you will say the pedagogy which is being used as instrument, you will say this is the right type of pedagogy. One more thing I like to say here before I start my topic of discussions or talk today, that each component has its own role to play, and the content should be customized, the pedagogy should be customized, the delivery should be customized. What I mean to say here, customized means depending on what type of infrastructure, what type of learners, teacher has to mold accordingly so that the outcome of all these comes as a best. This is my say. Now I'll show you the first PPT. Please let me know when you are able to display the PPT. I think I'm able to share PPT.
Sir, yes, you can share the PPT.
Is it visible to you now?
No, sir, it's not visible to me.
Okay, I have to then share screen.
Yes, sir. Sir, it's visible now, your
Okay,
screen.
then it is
Yes,
fine.
sir.
Now
Yes, sir.
this PPT is visible, so that I can start now the topic which I have prepared. You will not find these all contents anywhere. These are self-developed. So I have taken from different sorts of sources. But if you make a plagiarism check through the entire lecture, you will not find anywhere cut and paste. This is the unique lecture I'll be able to say on this. So the topic I have chosen because your course contains the topic as ICT. So ICT, based on that topic which you have selected as ICT, I have decided to give you a topic that is education and technology. So here basically I'll be talking about the education and the role of technology in education and vice versa. So what I feel in conclusion, I'll be able to say that education and technology are merged subjects, merged area. Fine. So let us see how best I can say that these are merged area. All of you know that a 12-month child, if you give your smartphone to that child, he will try to swap it. He will open your smartphone, he will try to swap it, and he will be able to see your YouTube videos. I think all of you agree with me. So in today's era, the children are self-developed because of environment. Not only the child swaps it and see the YouTube videos, but you will see that if he or she does not like that particular, he or she will be able to change it. So this is the boon, or by birth the children is learning the technology. Otherwise, in the old era, I'll say the children were not of that technology savvy. Now, if you give hard copy of book, he will not open page by page, but in place of that, he will try to swap that book also. Though the next page will not be able to come because it is not a smartphone, it is a hardbound book. This indicates the era of technology. I recall my schooling days. Those days, we used to have our teaching learning material as ink pot, and then there is some sort of writing pen. It was manually made, and it used to known as kalam. So ink pot, kalam, and then we used to have some sort of wooden fatti that is known as takti. So we used to write with that ink, kalam, on that takti. Takti is nothing but a one sort of writing pad made of wood, and we used to compete with handwriting because that was a building base for developing your handwriting, and this was the daily routine. Then, if in our bag we used to have a bundle of books, so that if we have a lecture of mathematics, we used to take out black color of slate and white color of similar to chalk, slatey, and we used to write that slate and slatey and rub it. All mathematical sum we used to do like this. So in that era, the children were burdened with heavy amount of uh, books, materials, and bags, everything. Because there, I do recall one more thing. I used to be a school monitor in my school. So my first duty was to go to tree, take one branch, and give it to teachers. I put it to teachers' table before the teacher arrived, because that was an instrument so that every student used to afraid from the teacher, because teacher used to have that stick and the homework was not complete. He used to beat like left and right. But that was the era of schooling. But now, if you see, the same thing has been replaced by iPad. Now I have forgotten those all things. Now I use only simple iPad, and that iPad is having color. iPad is having different color of inks. iPad is having different width of that writing column. So everything has been, all the materials, the books related, everything is there in my iPad. I need not to carry my bag. I carry only iPad and I can deliver everything. So this is how the shift, or you can say how the shift has been taking place in education to this level of education, which has a tremendous amount of advantages in terms of writing, reading, content, the material. So everything has only one iPad, and you can have anything in this. This has been given by technology. So education has taken a paradigm shift to this new era by technology. If the technology would have not been there, I think this we should have not been able to see. So there is a tremendous amount of change. And now, if I say one more thing, the iPad, if I deliver with some sort of platforms like Google Classroom, your team, then Zoom, and there are other learning material softwares available in present era, I'll be able to not only customize my all geometries and etc. We have got the Kami app inbuilt with Apple iPad, where I can use this as a board, say chalk and blackboard. I can use it, and I can have all the teaching which was conventional with the help of this. And I do not require any duster, anything, any pen, any pencil. I don't require. Everything is inbuilt in this. So there is a Kami app and there is a Easy Teach app. These two apps are very useful if you are working with LMS. Now, so this narration, what I feel, has given a paradigm shift in teaching learning. When I say teaching learning, I recall the old days Gurukul used to be there. In this Gurukul, the students used to have not only teaching learning there, but they used to stay that same campus. And now the same Gurukul has, we have seen in pandemic and in COVID, that all these Gurukuls has been converted into e-Gurukul. Still, the teaching learning was taking place with the help of e-learning. When I say e-Gurukul, I name it a Google platforms or e-learning platforms. And with that, you will see that nowadays there is a new concept. You don't require any infrastructure. Digital university has come up. You require only internet and other uh, e-materials or digital materials, and you will be able to develop a complete whatever you can mimic a university that is known as digital university. But what is missing in this digital university is Gurukul concept. When I say Gurukul concept was embedded, inherited with values, morals, and these morals and values are also known as sanskars. So overall development of the child used to take place. But if you miss these values and morals and sanskars, you will only have contents, but you do not have right type of contents. So Google may be able to give you the content, but not right type of content. Google may give you the preaching, but not right type of preaching, which was embedded in Gurukul concepts. So what is difference between Gurukul and e-Gurukul? You will be able to identify from these. Uh, in this COVID era, we have also seen that a children who is studying in urban area, and that to be the urban area has uh, all infrastructure which can embed the internet features, all digital features. Even what I have heard, a student of class 1 is taking online classes. I do not know how, but nursery teacher is able to deliver to the students of KG, upper KG, first class, fifth class, 10th class. Every student is engaged with digital learning. But if you see the rural part, of course, I have contacted to many school principals which are in rural area. They say we are also able to deliver the learnings by taking help of TV network or making a group and then disseminating those contents on their mobiles. But what I feel, there was a digital divide during this era. Only the urban area where infrastructure, where internet features, where e-learning, or you can say where digital infrastructure was there, they were only able to take advantages of online learning. But rural part was really not enriched in infrastructure and other digital technologies, so they were lacking in their studies. So there is always some advantage and some disadvantages of this platform of e-learning or online learning. So rural part is less advantage, whereas urban part was advantage. I call this as a rural urban divide, or in one way it is a digital divide, which will depend on infrastructure, internet connectivity, and network. I'll say a little bit more about in my later part of the lecture, the infrastructure, connectivity. I'll speak a little more about that. As I said in the beginning, the teaching pedagogy. I recall my 10 years back or say 20 years back days, the professor used to develop transparencies. I did my MTech in MNIT Allahabad. So there was, I'll not name that teacher, but that teacher used to carry those transparencies. And whenever and wherever he used to take that lecture, only those transparencies used to appear. He will not change those transparencies. Maybe I feel these are 20 years old. He was professor of MNIT, but you can say the content of that was limited, and the pedagogy will only remain around those transparencies. He will put those transparencies and display on projector, and all will see those transparencies only. So this is the pedagogy he used to have. Though content was fixed, pedagogy was fixed, delivery was also fixed. He was not bothered whether the student will like that transparencies or not. So I'll say the teaching learning in those days was teacher centric. Whatever the teacher think is right, he will only take those things and deliver. But now it is completely changed. With the help of Google, with the help of online platforms like Khan Academy has played an important role as far as this content of online learning is developed or self-learning has been taking place. I recall the Khan Academy has played crucial role. Coursera is also there. Nowadays, a lot of platforms are there. MOOC is there. NPTEL is there. But again, what I personally feel that these platforms are there, they can only make the content available 24/7 worldwide, available to each and everyone. There is no restriction of 4 walls. There is no restriction of the classroom size. There is no restriction of timing. So anywhere, anytime, any material, the students have access. So now the teaching learning has become student centric. If I make a differentiation between those transparency days and now the e-platform or digital platforms, now you will feel that whatever students like, he can download that content, he can read those contents. So there is a again lot of paradigm shift has been taken place. From it has converted from teacher centric to student centric. The advantage for converting from student centric to teacher centric to student centric is now student can read whatever he want to have. Another advantage what I feel here, if you feel that there is a requirement of big data, cloud computing, IoT, AI, machine learning. So now the student can choose as per his own liking. He need not to depend on what teacher want to teach, but he is independent from that what teacher want to teach. I still recall my childhood days that if teacher was not there in the school, we used to come back. Only one teacher or two teacher used to be there in private school. So we used to come back to our home as the teacher was not there in the school. Or if teacher wishes to teach, say, social, we need to learn only social. If student wants to teach that day only math, so we used to learn only math. But now that is not there. One more thing, I feel today, if your university is Wi-Fi, if I see NSIT, there are 11 smart classrooms are there. They have capacity of more than 100 students. But if a professor is delivering his talk, the students are not want to have only 100 capacity. Any amount of capacity can learn those teachings if you are having a Wi-Fi campus. Even the student staying at cafe will be able to view the lecture which is taking place in smart classroom. When I say smart classroom, they are embedded with the Wi-Fi features, internet, and whiteboard is there. The smart board has capability that this smart board is connected with your desktop computer or laptop. Whatever the class you are taking, that is also stored in your laptop or desktop, and you can upload those teaching learning on YouTube or any platform or digital platform. So the lecture delivered by that particular professor will be available not only live. If there are 100 students and there are other than 100 students which are not there in the four-boundary of the classroom, they are staying at cafe or anywhere in the playground or other ground in the Wi-Fi campus. They are not only able to see the lecture live, but that lecture after completion can be disseminated to infinite amount of students with online features. So this is the new technology, education, new technology classrooms. Now here, this has been given by technology, but there are some drawbacks which we'll see in later part of the lectures. That the what type of network you are using, what is the capacity of network using, and what type of infrastructure you are having, whether you are able to deliver video online, whether you are only able to deliver text online, whether you are able to deliver only audio, whether you are able to embed animations. Now, if you see in this slide, there is a word known as teaching pedagogy. Now, this pedagogy has been replaced. The transparencies which professor used to have has been replaced by Google Slides, where we can develop a Google Doc or Google Slide with embedding text, audio, animations, and videos too. Here, when I say text, audio, animations, and video, we have seen that if you read a book, you will be able to recall only few things. If you see images of the text given in the book, you will be able to recall or memorize it, or you will be able to understand better. But if you embed videos and animations in your lecture, I think it is giving you more sort of understanding, and the concept building will take place much better. I'll go one step ahead. If you teach students with experimentations, means teaching learning by doing, that will fetch better than what you are showing with the videos. Here, I recall one school has been developed by Stanford University. It is somewhere 20-acre school, and this school caters to fifth standard only. So, what these people have done in that particular university, they have developed chapters in open. So, for let us say for class 1 student, they have developed a area for mathematics. And mathematics will start from chapter 1. Let us say there are 10 chapters or 15 chapters. So based on content of classroom chapter 1, class 1, one specific area has been earmarked, and there the student will say, for example, teacher want to teach chapter 1. They will carry all those students in a bus. They will drop them in chapter 1, and the chapter 1 has all the experimentations. So the children will form a group and they will do experimentation based on chapter 1. Next day, the school bus or bus will drop them to chapter 2 location, and there all the features of the experimentation is being placed in open area. That is open area, not closed rooms, open area, and there the chapter 2 they will all do carry out those experimentations. So like that, the class concept has been converted into experimental learning. This is known as experiential learning. So what I feel, the teaching pedagogy should be such that not only students learn, but if they do it, they will not forget. That is why in engineering education, the lab part is much more embedded. And if generally the teacher think that the lab is not that important as theory is, but what I feel, even the students take more interest in the lab than the theory. Theory is equally important, but lab has extra S of importance because they do it. Whatever has been taught in the theory, if they are able to do it experimentally, practically, it is going to fetch them. So it has got more value if they do experimentations. As I said, the content and its delivery has equal role to play. There is a best content, but delivery is not being done in proper way. It's of no use. And vice versa. If content is not of that important, but delivery has been done in excellent way, still it is missing some part. I'll not say that it is if content is not good and delivery is good, it is going to fetch them. But I want to emphasize on this that content and its delivery both had equal share. So your content should be specific to the group where you are teaching. At the same time, your delivery method should be excellent so that the content delivered should be able to convey the message what you want to teach them. There are various methods. One is storytelling. So basically, ICT, when you say the word ICT, I stands for information, C stands for communication, and T stands for technology. So this word ICT is very lucrative. So this tells us that content, pedagogy, delivery, these all have its equal share. If any part is missing, the outcome is not going to have the same which you have desired, which you have thought of. There are few methods that you must have a better connection, better communication. If you are teaching student is not in mood to listen, I think it is of no use. So you need to connect before you deliver anything. You need to connect with the student. And once connection is established, now the delivery part starts. When delivery part starts, what type of pedagogy you are using, that will fetch you. So basically, if you see, when I make a telephone call, there is a process, that standard process need to be established.
Blank paper.
Blank paper. Similar way,
one side
content delivery
one sided तो यहाँ लगे हुए हैं.
and the proper teaching learning, those all have the equal shares. As I said, in e-learning, the values and morale is missing. And this is a platform the morals and values. This gives a platform. Based on that platform only, the building of concepts and everything will take place. So Gurukul and e-Gurukul both have their own advantages and disadvantages. But what I feel, in place of e-Gurukul, if you are able to embed morals and values in e-Gurukul, you need to find out what ways are there. I could not find out, but I keep this question as open questions. If you are able to make a research that e-Gurukul is embedded or enriched with moral and values, I think this will be a wonderful platform. But so far, in e-Gurukul or Google teaching or e-learning teaching, that part is missing. Technology. So far, I think I'm able to convey you what is technology. If you see the worldwide research, humans have 5 senses. I'm getting some disturbance from the class size. I do not know. I think they have to put their mic off. So
using AI, NTA identifies 56 JEE mains crooks. चीटिंग करने वाले जो किसी और की जगह बैठ के एग्जाम दे रहे थे JEE mains.
That we can discuss. I think someone is talking about JEE mains. We can discuss this long. Ask him to put their mic off. We'll have QA, then we can discuss that.
Top ranked candidates of the exams in 2019 and 20 despite difference in their credentials.
So the technology. When I say technology, the complete research so far has been taken place worldwide is less than the technology developed in human being by the God. I'll say even 2% technology has not been developed, which is existing already there in the human being or God creature. What I feel, I'm doing my research on wireless communications, the antennas, the optical antennas, the solar antennas, the solar renewable energy devices. So what I feel, I myself is connected with the solar things. I'm able to see something about environment purification. I'm able to see something about water purification. These are all sensors part. I'm able to see the communication part of this wireless communication. So these are already, I'm able to see the artificial photosynthesis. So where from I'm extracting this? These are all already given by God. If you see the photosynthesis, the plants are able to convert the solar energy into fuels. Now I'm trying to explore it. Whereas God has already created. Tomorrow you will see that you carry your mobile phone and you plug into a tree for charging it. It is possible. Today you may be feeling that it is a fiction, but it is a technology. By making use of artificial photosynthesis, you will be able to charge your mobile phone with a tree, because tree already have that capability that it gathers light waves, and those light waves are being transferred into electrical energy, or in terms of before electrical, in terms of chemical energy or fuel. And that fuel, if you see your coal is nothing but solar energy stored long years back, and that the coal is able to give you the fuel energy, and then you are able to make a fire, or you are able to cook your the food waste. So what I mean to say, the technology has a tremendous role to play, and the complete technology revolves around these 5 senses. The 5 senses are vision, the sound related hearing, smell, touch, and different tests. You will see in present technology, if you see the wireless flexible electronics, the wireless flexible electronics is revolving around all these five senses. You are able to make a compact chip which is depending on your lights to see, to monitor, to control. And then if you see a human being, your heart pumps more blood when you run than when you sit idle. Is what? It's artificial intelligence and machine learning. This machine learning and artificial intelligence has been derived from human being. You are not asking your heart to say uh, uh, you increase your pulse rate. It automatically gets when you walk slowly, the heart rate is different. When you run fast, the heart rate is different. When you sleep, your heart rate is different. So it adopts depending on your body requirement. How much the pumping or how much blood pressure or how much blood flow is required. Based on that, how much ultimately how much energy your body requires. Based on that energy, it adopts to that and it tuned to that particular rate. So artificial intelligence, machine learning, and these IoT, when you say IoT, your complete body is full of IoTs. There may be millions of IoTs. I'll say one. We have in a human retina. I think everyone knows about retina. Retina give you the vision. Not only vision, it has, if you see the peripheral of retina and center part of retina. The retina has somewhere 126 millions of rods in periphery of the retina. And these rods are nothing but 6-micron slenders. And these slenders are made up of 10 layers of different value of permittivity. When your photon or light reaches to this retina rod, these are known as rods and cones, it passes through the 10 layers. Each 10 layer has different permittivity. Based on that permittivity, dielectric constant, your focusing or conversion from photon to neuron takes place. Neuron is nothing but electrical impulse. Before that convert into electrical impulse, there are chemical reactions. So chemical potential is being developed, and that chemical potential will get converted into impulse. Impulse is nothing but neuron. This neuron goes to optical fiber that is known as optical nerve. Optical nerve will carry 126 millions neurons at one go. You can see what type of multiplexing is taking place. Will reach to brain, one part of brain, and then these impulses will cater to pixels from a image of that will be formed. And that image you are able to visualize. But this is black and white so far, because these rods will give you only black and white vision. There are, you will say, but we are able to see color vision. Yes, we are able to see color vision, but not due to rods and cones. In center, there are conical devices. There are 5 million conical devices. These conical devices are known as cones. They are again 10 layers, and the photon get incidented on these cones. The cones will convert into chemical energy. This chemical energy will get converted into impulse, and again these impulses are known as neurons. Neurons will travel to optical nerve and will get entered into pixel form into the brain, and these are having different wavelengths. These are three basic colors wavelength. So somewhere 430 terahertz to 750 terahertz is the frequency for these. So now they will develop the color vision. So basically combination of black and white vision and the color vision will give you the image, and you can see the resolution of your image, which I think none of the group has been able to develop that sort of resolution so far. Even you will say the signal processing, image processing, and other lot of groups are working worldwide, but they are not able to reproduce the resolution of such a huge, not even 8K, forget about 4K. So you can see what God has given to us. We are only revolving around not more than 2% what God has given. So these are the technology driven narrations. I have just given few examples. There can be various. Now ICT. What I feel, neither Gurukul nor e-Gurukul are sufficient enough. But there should be a hybrid model, interactive model, and this hybrid or interactive model should be customized. If there are IM students, if there is rural village school for 5th standard, we cannot say you have same pedagogy. It should be specific or customized. If you want your delivery should be excellent. So what I mean to say, if I am teaching a student to students who is studying in IIT, I should have different approach. But if I am teaching a student in rural engineering college, my pedagogy should be different. So it should not be teacher specific that I want to teach that thing. It should be student specific. They must be able to connect with the teacher, or teacher must be able to properly connect. Then only delivery part will be a little bit higher or more efficient. We have seen, of course, EdTech is not only present era, as I already said. There are various platforms like Coursera, Khan Academy, Zoom, NPTEL, and a lot many learning management systems are there already. But what we feel during our COVID, they became more popular. So Zoom is there. Zoom is number one. Google Classroom, if I rate, it is second number. The Microsoft Team, it is at third number. And there can be a lot of LMS, Cisco, etc., etc. So they have taught worldwide that even in the COVID era, we are able to perform our duties. We are able to deliver what we thought of. I personally feel in COVID, I was taking final year optical fiber course. If I visit college personally, the student capacity I feel was not that much. But in online, I used to have full capacity. So I feel online that way, I feel I'm able to have complete students. So I was feeling satisfaction that my delivery is good as compared to offline. But at the same time, I'll say there is no substitute of classroom teaching as far as online is concerned. You feel that you are teaching in dark because response is that is not that much responsive, which we feel in online. Online we feel that we are cross connected, but in online we feel that we are only one way connected. It was a simplex method, not the duplex. So, but at the same time, it has given us advantage, and we'll see that even post COVID, we will be able to. We cannot forget these attacks. You will see that there will be a attack has to remain, including with offline. because now we are tested already that at least we are able to deliver anytime, anywhere, and the content is available all the way. So offline and online both will stay for longer time. Interactive. Uh, in smart rooms, we have interactive boards. There we can write, there we can store, there we can transfer. So interactive smart board are much useful. If we see the chalk and board, the blackboard and chalk, we write and we rub it out. We don't carry anything. Students don't carry anything. But with the advent of smart boards, we can write there, we can rub it, we can store it, and after completion of your lecture, you will be able to fetch it. You can view yourself, you can see your flaws and edit it. And then you can distribute to your complete class. Otherwise, I recall that during my college time, I used to write each and every word of my teacher what I speak. So I used to write. So everything was there in my notepad. But now I don't require that. I can hear my teacher, and later on I can watch my teacher's lectures. So that way, it has given a as of advantage. As I said, if you are able to have Wi-Fi campuses, this is more advantageous because if you are having Wi-Fi campus, you need not to worry about your class size. Great advantage which we have received, that teaching learning has been shifted from students' perspective to from teachers' perspective to students' perspective. That is what we require today. Today, the student can choose their topic. They can choose not only topic, their teacher. They can choose their outcome. I think you will agree when I say outcome. Students, there are learning algorithms available. There are predictive algorithms are available. With the advent of regression analysis, linear and nonlinear, student will be able to say this teacher teaches this particular subject, this will be my outcome because my efficiency is this. Based on that, he can choose his subject, he can choose his teacher for the desired outcome. This has been given by technology because he can predict based on data, he can carry out analysis and he can predict that after 6 months, this will be my outcome. So that has given us extra edge. Of course, in this, networking has important role. When I say networking, I was there recently, visited to Andaman. What I feel, the university chap was behind me that question paper banana hai. And I was not able to, neither I'm able to make internet chat nor able to make sufficient telephone calls because there the network issue is there. I was not able to get internet at all in Denmark. And the university chap is on very interest. आज ही चाहिए, question paper चाहिए. So it was really difficult. So there I could feel the importance of networking. If your network is not self-sustainable, if your network is not having sufficient bandwidth, if your network is not reliable, we cannot just think of online mode of teaching. So it is a backbone. Recently, of course, I was talking about January, but now from Chennai to Andaman, a fiber cable has been laid down. This is undersea, and now I think there must be some improvement in the networking even at Andaman. So networking is very important as far as data rate is concerned. So for that, you will see that 3G, 4G, 5G, 5G and beyond, this is going to play a crucial role. If you switch over to 5G, definitely the speed will be uh, multifold. Accordingly, your device will take the shape. Recently, I heard that Apple 12 is going to be there in India, which is already available at US. In Apple 12, they are working at millimetric wave, but India will again work at microwave frequency. So you can see the same device will operate at higher speed at US, but will operate at lower speed in India. This is what the difference of networking. In iPhone 12, they have used DRA as an antenna, and this DRA is designed for millimetric wave operations. The millimetric wave frequency is sub 6 gigahertz, then 24 to 29 gigahertz, then 58 to 65 gigahertz. So in between that band they are using, but in India we are using sub 6 gigahertz only. So the speed difference is there. So this is what networking. One more thing we have seen, if networking is sufficient, you are able to deliver in your class online mode much better. But if there is a network problem, I don't think whatever the content, whatever the pedagogy, everything is of no use. Similarly, the networking is playing crucial role in telemedicine, e-governance, big data, cloud computing, and analytics. These are very good words. Big data, cloud computing, analytics. They have sufficient amount of data, but if you are not able to transport them from, so no use. So that is the importance of networking. Of course, if more the amount of data you are having, you are going to have good analytics, and based on good analytics, you will be able to take your decisions better. Already we have spoken, there are various platforms, but Khan Academy has played very important role as far as these learning platforms, online learning platforms are there. And this is the platform which was available a long back. Later on, this MOOC, PTL, and many other platforms came up. But anything which is adding to our day-to-day requirement is definitely good. One more very important thing. You must have heard about Elon Musk. He thinks out of box. Elon Musk has given us automated electrical vehicles. And recently, he has given SpaceX, which used to be only given by government organizations. But by thinking 50 years ahead, he is able to give something new. And now he is working on environment. I was reading in the newspaper that he has announced somewhere $50 million on the research for developing sensors for cleaning environment. When I say cleaning environment, you must be able to have sensors which can predict about air quality. So these are nano sensors. These all sensors work based on optics. They will be able to predict at molecular size, what is the content of air components, like how much is oxygen, how much is nitrogen, how much is carbon emission. So he's working on carbon emissions. This $50 million, he is telling that anyone who can suggest me the solution for carbon emission, I'll pay him $50 million. So carbon emission has been a new era where people will shift their researches. And these carbon emissions will purify the environment. He was a self-reader. He was not, I'll say he is a self-reader. He has not taken any formal education, but by reading books, he has developed rocket science. There is a saying, कोई भी कह देता कि भाई ये rocket science नहीं है. This is simple. It means rocket science is something very critical. But by reading only books, he has not taken any formal education as far as rocket science is concerned. And he has developed SpaceX, which is a rocket science. So self-learning. Now you will see that the teaching learning, there is a paradigm shift from memorization to applications. Earlier, we were the teachers or students, they are more inclined for the memorization. I'll not say the memorization is not good. One way I'll say for a very small part, it is good. But if we only depend on memorization, we will not be able to carry out applications. Application is more important as compared to memorization. So now there is a shift in the education that the teacher has to shift his focus from memorization to applications. One more thing, there is a rote learning. You must have heard the word rote learning. I think we have to change that word rote learning to specific application oriented learning. And now yesterday I was attending a board of study meeting. So those universities has converted their syllabus, their curriculum with industry specific. University have collaboration with different industries, and the industry, they take regular feedback from industry. They develop their curriculum based on industry demands. If we are able to shift our curriculum in this way, it is going to fulfill need of the students, because today every student wants that he should be able to get job after completion of BTech or MTech or PhD. But that will only be possible if they have teaching learning industry specific. That can only be possible if we take regular input from the industry, or we collaborate with industry, or we carry out projects in industry. In US and in other European countries, what I feel, the research is not related to the papers published. They do not look for SCI, SCI papers. They look for industry projects. Even the German, the project guide is from industry. They will give a live problem to the student, PhD student. If he is able to solve that problem, his PhD is awarded. He is not worried about research papers that they have to publish 3 papers, 4 papers. No. Their outcome is project implementation. And the project implementation is, again, if we do not have moral and values, there will be only a project implementation on paper, not in reality. But in those countries, the dedication and moral and values is such that they really implement, they really solve a problem of social. So society impact is already inbuilt with them. They are able to crack a problem which is a social problem. They have given a solution to the society problems. So if they are able to introduce a concept of social impact solution in their PhDs, I think It is a resonant. It is a resonance with the society and the researchers. Definitely, the outcome will be best. So, industry-specific courses will merge theory and practice, will adopt experiential learning, and this will have artificial intelligence, machine learning. There can be a lot of other new era topics, computer vision, etc., etc. I have already told you AI and ML is not new. These are already inbuilt in our uh, human beings. Heart pumps faster when we run in place, when we sit idle. Car setting of AC automatically takes place depending on who is the driver. There can be 4 or 5 drivers in your home. So who is driving car? If I'm driving, it will automatically adapts to my requirement. My AC should be 25. My the steering setting will be like this, and there are my seat adjustments should be like. So these are automatically adaptable. This is nothing but AI and machine learning. Mood lighting. What should be the mood lighting of cabin? So these are already inbuilt. So these, if I'm able to see this, I'm able to say this application of AI and machine learning. If you see this particular slide, you will really going to enjoy it. In India, frequently we are hearing this word smart city. What is smart city? It is nothing but application of IoT, application of AI, application of machine learning in our day-to-day life. You will see a building or infrastructure, bridge or a road is being constructed. Before it is constructed, it is predicted the life of this particular infrastructure will be 100 years, will be 50 years, based on mathematical computations and other parameters. You are already having some softwares. Based on those softwares, you feed your inputs, and based on those inputs, you will be able to decide all the parameters of your smart cities. If we say smart cities, it is having intelligent transportation system. The frequency of transportation will vary depending on the population and rate of passengers. In morning hours or evening hours, office hours, the frequency of transportation will be huge, but in daytime or in noon time, the frequency of transportation will automatically get reduced. Smart lighting systems. Automatically, you will see that when darkness appears, the lighting will get on, and when day comes up, the lighting will go off. Smart traffic lighting, based on the amount of traffic, lighting mood will change, lighting timing will change. This will take automation. Smart waste management. There are IoTs every place where waste dumps are there, and based on that, the the network is already there. The control center will be there, and the waste management will take place. As I said, smart water and air purifier system. There is a need of carbon emission monitoring. So based on that, there are sensors already embedded in that particular steel. What is the quality of water today? What is the quality of air today? And not only that, the control system will put your air purifiers, number of air purifiers installed, number of water purifiers installed into activation. So it is automatically taking place. Smart building, smart home. Nowadays, trend is changing that more of LED lighting in your house, in your building is taking place. And this LED lighting electricity is not on the wires which you carry out. They use Ethernet cables. In that building, the Ethernet cables carry your light and data simultaneously because you have installed only LED lighting in your buildings. Smart education system, already we have spoken about. Smart house. If you see in Gurgaon, there is a DC house developed by Imar. They have installed all sort of devices which must be there in your house, and you can remotely control from your mobile. I need not to elaborate more. Smart agriculture system. There are IoTs already available in your agriculture system. They will create artificial rain. They will create artificial these fertilizers. Everything is being monitored and controlled and delivered. Smart health. This is very important topic. Nowadays, you will see that you are able to monitor health of your old age persons with using smart beds, with using smart IoTs, with using smart AI developed, with using smart ML. So these are beneficial to society. So nowadays you will be able to remotely monitor pulse rate, blood pressure, and other parameters remotely because of invent of sensing materials, sensing and development of IoTs. Not only you can monitor, but you can control based on analytics. I was reading in the newspaper that in front of your house, drone system will be there. If there is a burglary or all of a sudden your some miscreant has opened the door, the drone will be there placed in front of your house. It will automatically get uplifted and it will take photographs of all. So drone based security system. In US, in Singapore, you have already seen that drones are delivering logistics. If there is a breakdown in your car, the drone will pick up that breakdown car and reach it to that destination. So drone based service, although of course in India also we are already seeing, if you go to some marriage, they operate the photography using drones. So many applications are there based on drone. Drone is upcoming technology era. Air taxi, drones will take the shape of air taxi. So there can be n number of applications which present era technology is going to deliver. Automated electric Tesla cars, SpaceX, self-learning. These I have already given you an example of Elon Musk. He is a creative nature and works for the society. Now his wealth is better than the Amazon chief. Reason being, he does only innovative things. He gives innovative solutions that is 50 years ahead. He thinks 50 years ahead from the society. So what is required? We require a sustainable technology. When I say sustainable technology, we have to use more of renewable resources, which can last longer. We need not to survive on the energy which is being consumed. It should be self-developed. Like for example, if we use curtains in our house, which can also generate electricity. Nowadays, new concept is coming that in place of solar cells, we are having artificial photosynthesis in our curtains. They develop renewable energy. They are not only working as a curtain, but there is a graphene material. This graphene material acts as a sensor and it collects photons and convert these photons into electrical energy. This electrical energy can be used for our domestic appliances, And not only that, the graphene material has different metamaterials. When I say different metamaterials, they have different wavelengths. So they respond to 7 colors, which already white light is having. When I say 7 colors, each color had its own wavelength. When I say wavelength, lambda is equal to c by f, it means it has different frequency. So based on that frequency, which it tuned for, it can change its color. So the curtain, you have placed transparent curtain, it is your control that you can make it green, you can make it red, and any 7 colors you can change depending on your requirement remotely. So the simple curtain, which was transparent, can be converted into different colors. This has been given by the technology. Ultimately, the technology has benefited us for quality education. That's what our objective was. That we should be able to enhance the quality of education by making use of ICT. With the help of ICT, prediction using data analytics, making use of linear nonlinear regression analysis, we can estimate, we can control, we can predict anything, and not only carbon emissions. In conclusion, the technology has played crucial role for not only development in education, but to deal with society problems, environmental problems, economy problems, and many more. So here I again recall a motivational speech given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna during Mahabharata, which is well written in Gita. The teacher, every teacher should have a teaching art in this way, that he or she must be able to motivate the learner in such a way that the communication established, pedagogy used, and delivery must be optimum. This can only be possible if we use our skill with technology. Then we can say the ICT has played crucial role imparting quality education. Not only that, it has given flexibility to teacher, to learner, in terms of time, in terms of space, in terms of capacity building, in terms of remote working, in terms of group teaching, in terms of customized teaching. This is what ICT has given. We have also seen that during pandemic, people were doing e-yoga. So this is what we have to learn. But this would have not been possible if ICT or technology, right type of technology would have not been there. With this, I conclude my today's talk, and any questions, you are most welcome, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Any queries or questions from the participants, please?